सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ओम श्री विश्वनाथाय नमः, श्री शंकराचार्याय नमः, श्री सद्गुरु शिवानंदाय नमः। ओम श्री विश्वनाथाय नमः। ओम श्री विश्वनाथाय नमः। ओम श्री विश्वनाथाय नमः। ओम श्री शंकराचार्याय नमः। ओम श्री शंकराचार्याय नमः। ओम श्री शंकराचार्याय नमः। ओम श्री सद्गुरु शिवानंदाय नमः। ओम श्री सद्गुरु शिवानंदाय नमः। ओम श्री सद्गुरु शिवानंदाय नमः। ओम श्री शरणभवाय 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 नमः। शरवण भव शरवण भव शरवण भव पाहि मां सुब्रह्मण्य 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 रक्ष मां। सुब्रह्मण्य 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 नमः। ओम कार्तिकेय 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 शरणमो। सद्गुरुदेव 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 पाहि मां शिवानंद 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 रक्ष मां। ओम 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 विचार। ओम 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 भज ओंकार। Worshipful homage to that supreme universal reality, the eternal and the infinite, the all-pervading and the indwelling. May His divine be seen clearly and felt clearly, for that Supreme Being is of the very nature of grace, and that Supreme all-pervading presence means the presence of grace at all time with us, all around us. We live, move and have our being in divine grace. Loving adorations to revered and beloved Holy Master, Gurudev Swami Chidanandaji Maharaj, who was yet another manifestation of this grace. All the great saints and sages, all the great illumined and liberated men of wisdom, great souled men of wisdom, they are verily the proof of God's grace. They are verily the exteriorized manifestation of God's grace. They come into the human world as light in the darkness. They come into this human world as pointers of the path to our own divine perfection and liberation. They constitute an assurance of the ever-present availability of God's grace to man, if only man would turn towards God. God's grace comes to man in the form of these great saints, seers, sages, and liberated God-men. God's grace works through these great ones, messengers of God. Holy Master Gurudev Swami Chidanandaji was very fond of one expression. He used to frequently say and as well as write, "Nil desperandum," never despair. O man, be full of hope, never despair, for grace is at hand. God will never abandon you. Even when you think you are finished, your spiritual life is ruined, finished, you have lost everything. All your efforts to overcome yourself has been to no purpose. You are defeated, beaten, routed. Even when you are in such a condition, you think everything is lost, God's grace comes and saves the situation and raises you up from defeat to victory. Raises you up from abjectness to triumph, divine triumph. this fact is brought out in the manifestation of God in the form of Kartikeya or Subramanya or Muruga or Sharavana Bhava, the second offspring of Lord Shiva. Even when Lord Shiva appears to be completely absorbed in deep meditation upon his own blissful divinity, nevertheless, he is not entirely careless or oblivious of the welfare of this projected phenomenal appearance. At times, even from the deepest of his meditation of blissful self-awareness, he comes out in answer to the call of the devotees. And the emergence of Kartikeya, the second offspring of Lord Shiva, is one outstanding example of this fact. He is made to manifest out of Lord Shiva in response to the supplication of the defeated gods. They are symbolic of the spiritual struggle of man on earth. That grace is such that it will never ultimately abandon the true, sincere and earnest seeker after God. From today, they will be commencing a 6 days continuous worship and adoration of this expression of God's grace in the form of Bhagavan Kartikeya, Muruga. His supreme grace from the absolute, transcendental, universal spirit. That transcendental being is all-pervading, indwelling. Therefore, his grace is all-pervading, indwelling, ever-present, and it also manifests within your own heart as right inquiry, right discrimination. When you are in great extremity, suddenly an idea flashes in your heart. This is what I must do at this moment. It is grace in movement, grace actively working within you. The Creator, Preserver and the Destroyer are manifestations upon a comparatively relative plane of the many. The Supreme Transcendental Being is upon the absolute plane of the one non-dual. Therefore, there is a unique incident in the relationship between Kartikeya cosmic grace and Lord Shiva, through whom grace manifested at a certain point in time to help the Devas, celestials, in their confrontation and their battle with the forces of darkness. And this unique, unparalleled incident gave Kartikeya the name of Swami, the Lord of God Himself. Because his creator was Lord Shiva. And this unique, unparalleled incident is, at one time, Lord Shiva was carrying the child Kartikeya on his shoulder. And suddenly he had a feeling the child was trying to attract his attention, child was trying to say something. And he said, "What is it you want? What is it you want?" And listen for the answer, reply from the child. And lo, the narrative of Kartikeyan's divine story has it that when Lord Shiva thus asked him, "What is it you are trying to tell me? What do you want?" The narrative says, the child spoke to the father and revealed to the father the mysteries, the secret and the mysteries of Om. 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 It was trying to tell him the supreme secret and the mystery of the Pranama. Pranama. Pranama Rahasya. Gurudev has related this in his book, Lord Shanmuga and His Worship. Just as he has written the book about his father, Lord Shiva and his worship, he also wrote a book called Lord Shanmuga and His Worship. So here was the child on the shoulder of Lord Shiva, functioning like a preceptor, a guru, one higher than him, and revealing to him the deep secret and mystery of the sacred Pranava, due to which he got the name, appellation, Swami. This Swaminathan, this Kartikeya, Subramanya, is the all-pervading, ever-present, always accessible and ever-helpful grace divine. Grace, therefore, is ever at hand. Hence, the expression of the Holy Master, never despair, nil desperandum, never despair. Struggle on, never give up. Somewhere I came across a poem which I thought it worthwhile to include in the little booklet, inspiring thoughts, and the heading of that poem is "Don't Quit." See? Don't quit. It is when you think everything is lost, you are about to lose, fail. He says it is then only that help is nearest at hand, and in a trice, so-called defeat will become victory. You will immediately come out successful. When you think you are about to fail, all is lost, immediately you will become successful. For grace is always at hand. Therefore, don't quit. Arise, awake, and attain illumination. Become liberated. That is why you are here. Fulfill your divine destiny, therefore. Grace is ever at hand. Thus is the sharing by the grace of God and through the benedictions of Holy Master Swami Chidanandaji. God bless you all. The worship of this grace personification commences from today. It always the next day after the festival of lamps, Diwali.